Mandrakk, the first Dark Monitor, the devourer of life and stories. Barbatos, dragon of the dark multiverse, and corrupter of stories of the dark multiverse. What do these two figures have in common? Did their stories wind up similar? And how did Mandrakk replace Barbatos? Let's find out. What's up guys, it's me Lumos Theromax, and today we're just hitting you with a really quick fun video idea that I actually came up with, continuing both the story of Barbatos as well as Mandrakk. So it's interesting because there's a lot of, honestly there's not a lot, but there is some really cool lore bits that occur between both of these top tier villains within DC. So I'm curious to hear exactly what you guys think and exactly how you guys feel about Mandrakk's entire existence being changed. But before we go any further, be sure to like and subscribe, become a Theromax Corps member so you can help me discuss and decide what kind of content is on the channel, videos exactly like this. So with no further ado, let's get into it. So let's start off with Mandrakk first, since he canonically appeared first, although Barbatos is definitively older. So who exactly is Mandrakk? Well, Mandrakk is this former monitor called Dax Novu, who was a science monitor. He basically was corrupted by the concept of stories, wound up imprisoning himself far away, along with the rest of his monitors also no longer wanting him around due to that corruption. Eventually, he winds up coming back super pissed off with an attempt to devour all stories after being mind-hacked by the Great Darkness. And he wound up fighting an incredibly powerful version of Superman called Cosmic Armor Superman. If you want more knowledge or anything along those lines on that, be sure to check out my Cosmic Armor Superman scaling video, which is a banger, by the way. But his goal was to devour all the stories in existence, to feed on story itself until nothing essentially was left inside our entire multiverse. Unfortunately, he was defeated by Cosmic Armor Superman and cast out into the Overvoid, and this is the last time we see him for a considerable amount of time. Mandrakk was an incredibly powerful character who was also wildly dangerous, and the fact that we thought we ended him was quite a large chunk of his story. The tragedy is when he fell into the Overvoid, it wasn't over, as the tombstone says, to be continued. However, we find out that there's actually a lower level to cosmology, the lowest level of the DC multiverse that we are aware of, something called the Dark Multiverse. And Mandrakk, despite being incredibly wounded by Cosmic Armor Superman, managed to land here. At this point in time, this was the domain of a being known as Barbatos. Barbatos was actually the dragon to a wildly powerful being called the World Forger. The World Forger was one of 3 children of Perpetua who governed over the dark matter existence and crafted worlds that would eventually either float up into the positive matter multiverse or would stay down in the dark matter multiverse and would essentially just sit there corrupting, twisting, and distorting. This is why the World Forger actually created Barbatos in the first place. Barbatos was no more than a pet to him, was his dragon that he designed to go and devour all the worlds inside the dark multiverse that existed. That way, they couldn't get too extreme, they couldn't spread out and bubble up, kind of like they did during the Metal event. However, when Mandrakk had fallen into their domain, Barbatos, who had already killed the World Forger, had maintained control of everything in the dark multiverse and started refusing to devour as many worlds, creating an infinite amount of worlds down there, even an infinite amount of multiverses that exist down in the dark multiverse. Keeping them there, he was hoping to weaponize them and grab certain fragments of them that he wanted to eventually attack the positive matter multiverse. Barbatos did not let Mandrakk run free and actually chains him there, sealing him inside the dark multiverse. But what exactly do these two figures have to do with one another? The claim here is that Mandrakk's taking Barbatos' job, and if you know anything about Metal, or the Metal event, clearly Barbatos was defeated via the 10th metal that the Justice League uses to manage to send him back to the Dark Multiverse. Then later Mar-Novu wraps him up in chains he cannot break free from. That was when we finally hit the Unexpected series. And just as its name implies, nobody expected anything important to come from this run. And this is where things get really interesting. Mandrakk managed to lure a variety of characters down into the Dark Multiverse to feed on their stories, to eventually get strong enough to return to where he was, all the way back up to the top of the multiverse, up to nil. where he comes across a bunch of other goons. Whenever he confronts them, Barbatos is still locked up down low, so he's effectively not doing his job in the Dark Multiverse, and the Dark Multiverse is just free reign. When Mandrakk climbs his way all the way up here and fights these guys use a power from the Dark Multiverse nonetheless, the power of the World Forge. And the World Forge itself actually has the power to alter things. And so what these guys do is, after a brief battle, they actually just alter the entire existence of Mandrakk. And how do they alter it? Well, they alter him to only be capable of feeding on dark matter stories instead of positive matter stories. Another reinforcement that Mandrakk was only feeding on positive matter things, not the totality of the multiverse, just the positive things that exist. So Mandrakk essentially, with no choice to either starve to death or return to the Dark Multiverse and feed on the stories that come from there, gets inevitably lost back inside the Dark Multiverse as one of the characters punches him back in there. And this is the last we see of Mandrakk in general. It's funny to think that the way they establish it in this specific story, and even the author's notes later on, seem to identify that they wanted to change Mandrakk into a positive function for the multiverse, despite the negativity that is like the concept of Mandrakk. So, at the end of the day, something had to maintain all the worlds inside the Dark Multiverse, and they essentially chose to have Mandrakk do that since they couldn't trust Barbatos to do that anymore, and since Barbatos is still locked up. I wonder in this current day if Mandrakk still maintains himself down in the Dark Multiverse by absorbing all the positive matter, or all the dark matter stories that exist. But what do you think? Did Mandrakk successfully take the job of Barbatos in the Dark Multiverse, devouring all the extra stories? You tell me. Be sure to type me down low. Let me know a little bit of everything. Let me know if you like stories like this, or ideas like this, I guess more so than anything. And be sure to like and subscribe to me, myself, and all the Omni-Lanterns down low. Become a Theromax Corps member too. They help me decide lots of really cool and fun content. You get access to all my Discord servers. It's a pretty banger time. So if you're interested in something like that, definitely let me know. But with no further ado, we're gonna catch you next time, Lanterns. Don't work too hard out there. Later.